diversity and inclusion planning, I was so pleased to hear this. It wasn't just because phase 3 it was required to do so, but there was a commitment to doing so. I'm sure there could be others, but it's just the one that I learned at last year. And that for me makes so much sense because it's actually a commitment to the right patient, target patient profile. And I said profile as in the blueprint of the patients that will be collected right from the day one so that there's a depth in the data that's available. I I would I wouldn't actually like to guess how many post-marketing clinical trials and med affairs have had to go and collate the level of correct diversity representation. But that's another division. That's something that is not collated in the pre-planning.
It's an interesting point, isn't it? I mean, it's the precision that companies are actually approaching a clinical trial with in the first place, and that opportunity, if you will, to take the time to put more planning into these things, understanding that it might take a little more time. There's obviously the cost aspect of this, and a lot of companies, especially if it's a small to mid-sized biopharm, biotech, when they've got investors on their back, they want to get into the clinical trial process as quickly as possible. They want to pull patients in as quickly as possible. But taking the time to do these things and balancing out the cost versus time ratio of it will, of course, equal better outcomes in the end of the process and more effective drugs when they go to market, right? Am I understanding that the right way?
So you just touched on my one bugbear. There are so many brilliant recruitment plans at the point of rescue. And if you think about most of I think 80% of still clinical trials are, fail to reach target, get cancelled or delayed. I mean, it's a ridiculous target. Can you imagine having?
Doesn't necessarily mean there's anything wrong with the drug, though.
No,
This
completely.
is
It's the recruitment. Exactly, exactly. So for me, I worked in early strategic planning. For me, I love the early strategic planning because there's a real concerted thinking about the realism of the trial, having the opportunity to change the protocol to actually work fit for purpose for your patient population and for your countries, being able to then do the very strategic planning on site selection, not just, oh, these guys have been brilliant before, let's just bring them in, but actually, what are you looking for? Why they're brilliant? Bringing in the right country population, bringing in the right target site population. That may not be the golden triangles, that may not be your postcode lottery. And this is the other part of diversity and inclusion, when you can actually go out. And this is why I love decentralized clinical trials or hybrid trials or utilization of the new GP networks, but actually being able to bring trials into the underserved populations.